What's going on, everybody? JaangoPops here with another video. Today we will be talking about something very important, something very special to me at least, and that is Ultimate Alliance 3. There have been some new details on the game that I'd like to go over and actually see for the first time here. But also, I just wanted to talk about this game in general because it is, as I said, very special to me. So, as I just stated, oh, by the way, I just wanted to be clear, along with this information that I'm about to give you, I haven't seen any of this information yet because I've been saving it to do this video. Because of that, I'm not going to do any, I don't want to say I won't do any edits because I don't want to have too much dead air, but I'm not going to do any cuts or like purposeful, you know, takes and retakes and stuff like that because I want to give just my whole genuine raw opinion on what I'm about to see. And seeing as that's going to take me a minute or two and I don't want to have too much dead air, here's a quick JaangoPops history lesson. So my father got us an Xbox 360. I don't remember if it was the year it launched, but he definitely got us a launch Xbox 360. That meaning an Xbox that came out like the first wave, the first generation of the Xbox 360s. I know this not only because it was present very early in my life, but also it was one of the white ones, one of the white Xboxes, one of the original launch ones. It also a very telling sign that it's a launch one. It fucking had issue upon issue. It broke all the time. It was not a good console, and it is to this day one of my favorites. But that's more sentimental than anything else. But past all the Xbox stuff, that was the first console that I really played on, primarily, and that was also where I discovered a little game called Marvel Ultimate Alliance. And that game to me was like the craziest thing in the world. Let's see. Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 came out October 24th, 2006, and the Xbox launched in November 2005. So actually that does line up pretty well. I don't remember if I played it like when it launched, but I definitely remember that the Xbox 360 launched. My father got us one, and one of the first games that he got that I could play, because he had a bunch of games for himself, but they had like guns and shit, and I was a kid and I couldn't play them. One of the first games that he got that I could actually play was Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1, and I absolutely loved that game. Still to this day, love that game. I can't even, what do I say about it? It's such a good game. You got all your characters. You make them fight the other characters. You're fighting the characters, and you say, "Hey, I know that guy. I'm gonna kick his ass now." Using freaking, I don't know, this team I just made up in like 2 seconds. I remember there were like things you could do where you made up teams, and I think you could give yourself stat boosts or some shit like that. Like, because there would be teams for like X-Men and Avengers that gave stat boosts. And I think you could do it with like your own individual teams. I could be wrong about that, but either way, I'm not here to talk about that. Ultimate Alliance 1 is great. Ultimate Alliance 2, very good, not nearly as good. But both of those games and just the Marvel Ultimate Alliance series in general, I absolutely love. So I wish that I could have had this equipment, that being a mic, because I don't have a camera or anything to stream on. But I wish I had it back at E3 2018, I believe, or was it 2017? No, it was 2018, when they announced Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3, because I was watching the trailer and I thought that it was the Square Enix game, the Square Enix Avengers game, and I was like, oh cool, this is looking pretty cool. And then I saw the silhouette at the very end of the trailer, the like little light that was over the A, and I was like, yeah, it's Avengers. And then they freaking revealed it was Ultimate Alliance, and I lost my shit. Man, let me tell you something. I'm very excited about this game. And after, I don't even know how long that was of stalling, and an incredible history lesson that I'm sure has helped you. Now you can flaunt your JaangoPops knowledge. Let us see what is in this article about the game. Let's see if we can't find a little shorter version that I don't have to skim through, because that was just like 17 years of downtime right there. This one is coming from IGN now, but I believe it's adapted from Game Informer's article. It just has the little synopsis, because not only do I not know how to read, but I don't have time to. So apparently there'll be 27 playable characters. Let's go down the list here. Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel, Crystal. Not sure who Crystal is. Daredevil, Deadpool, Doctor Strange, Drax, Falcon, Gamora, Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man, Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Miss Marvel, Nightcrawler, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Rocket and Groot, who are one joint character like they were in Infinite, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. There was some other game where they were like one character, but it's that same idea. Scarlet Witch, Spider-Gwen, Star-Lord, Storm, Thor, Venom, Wasp. Oh wow, Wasp. And Wolverine, who's front and center basically for the first trailer and just kind of a known character. So let's scroll down here, go back down the list one more time, and just see if there's any series news, to me at least. Black Panther, Black Widow, Captain America, I all know that they've been in both games. They were definitely in the first one. Captain Marvel is completely new. Crystal, depending on who she is, might be completely new. I don't actually know who that is. Daredevil returning, Deadpool returning, Doctor Strange returning, Drax, Falcon, and Gamora are all new characters, if I'm not mistaken. So that's very interesting. Drax and Gamora are both also Guardians of the Galaxy characters, so it'll be interesting to see how the Guardians fit into the story this time around. We've got Hawkeye, Hulk, Iron Man all returning, Miles Morales, Spider-Man. He's Spider-Man, which is a returning alias, I guess, if you want to say. But Miles Morales himself has not been in the game before. So that is a new addition. Miss Marvel, Nightcrawler, both returning characters. Peter Parker, returning character. Rocket and Groot, 2 new characters. Scarlet Witch, a new character, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think she was in 2. She definitely wasn't in 1, but she might have been in 2. I don't think she was, though. I think she's a completely new character as well, and I'm very excited about Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch is a cool character. Spider-Gwen, new character. Star-Lord, new character. Storm, Thor, Venom, all returning. Wolverine also returning, and Wasp is a new character. The thing that interests me a lot is, if you go down the list here, Captain Marvel, Drax, Gamora, Star-Lord, Rocket and Groot, Scarlet Witch, Thor, Hulk, Hawkeye, Black Widow, Iron Man, Captain America. These characters are all sounding like MCU characters, and that's very, very purposefully done, which I'm sure everyone knows by now. There was actually an interesting thing that I heard about this, trying to keep myself away from as much information as possible. I actually heard that Nintendo themselves went to Marvel or to Disney to pitch this idea of having a Ultimate Alliance game, which is just a nice little cool detail. But it's very interesting because they have a lot of MCU characters, it seems, and a good handful of returning cast characters from like other games, but there's still a lot of people missing. One very important group who's missing, not even a single character in the entire roster, which is extremely surprising to me. the Fantastic Four, they're not here like at all. There is not one of the 4 Fantastic Four. There ain't no Fantastic nothing. And as for the X-Men, if you want to count Scarlet Witch, there's 3 of them. There's her, Storm, and Wolverine. So there's also not a lot of X-Men characters, in this one. Still, not a bad roster in my opinion. I actually don't know off the top of my head how many characters were in Ultimate Alliance 1 and 2. I remember that from 1 to 2, the roster shrank a little bit, which I was a little disappointed in, but roster is kind of an added detail. I think it's important, but it's still kind of a extra thing. Put the gameplay before you put the roster. But let's move on to from the roster. Jesus Christ, I cannot speak. Let's move on from the roster because there are many more important details here. Let's see. So this is a nice little interesting detail. It says when characters are introduced, a pop-up word graphic of the character's name and a description of the character appears. Subsequent tutorial sections are brief and integrated into fights, so you'll be having, you'll be learning the game as the game progresses. That's a kind of just a thing in games now, but that's a nice thing to know. Team attributes for certain compositions, like a Women of Marvel team, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Defenders, Wisecracking Warriors. I'm sure they'll have Avengers. They probably won't have X-Men, because there's not that many. I don't think you can make a full team, considering you need 4. But that's a returning feature from the first 2 games. I definitely remember, which I was talking about actually, in my little history lesson, is that you could make teams and you get stat bonuses for them. So it's good to know that they'll be bringing that back. Let's see. Each character has their own distinct abilities and styles of attack. Individual characters have stat menus displaying attacks and hero traits. This might be new. The Alliance Enhancement System is a web of upgrades that applies to the whole team, described as similar to the sphere grid in Final Fantasy X, with nodes unlocked through credits and enhancement. With nodes unlocked through credits and enhancement points. English is a language that I know, I promise. So it sounds like it's kind of a skill tree, but for the whole team. That's interesting. Characters can level up individually, we know that. ISO 8. I was hearing about this as well. ISO 8, if I'm not mistaken, is something in the Marvel Universe. I only know it because of, what is that game called? It's some Marvel mobile game. Sorry, in my head. I think it's called Future Fight, or is it Contest of Champions? It's one of those. One of the Marvel mobile games has ISO 8 as a either a currency or some way you upgrade and level yourself up or whatever. So that sounds familiar, but I don't know what it does exactly in this game. It seems to do the same thing. Here it says lets players tweak a character's fighting capabilities. So yeah, basically sounds like the same thing where you upgrade your character using that. 4 characters are always on the screen. That's the same as always. There are 2. There are 2 camera options. Classic, similar to the wide-angle isometric view of the previous games, and Heroic, a single-player focused camera for up-close views. So that's a problem that I was hearing people talk about and kind of discuss, is whether or not the camera would be permanent, how it was, because everyone was mentioning how it was kind of weird seeing it in that position in the first trailer. And here they have confirmed that you can switch it to be like the first 2 games, where it's a bit of like a top-down view, and I'm very, very happy about that. I'll probably try out both, but stick with the classic in the end. Extreme attacks are triggered with L and R when the EX gauge is powered up. That sounds to me like ultimate attacks. Character's portrait flash and offer a brief window for other characters to join in. So it sounds to me like it's the I don't remember what it's called from Ultimate Alliance 2, but I remember that there was like an attack. Like you would hold down, I think, R2 and then press a certain button, and like if you had Wolverine and Iron Man would shoot a beam at Wolverine's claws and it would get reflected off of his claws, and that would do damage to a bunch of people on the screen. If I'm not mistaken, that's the same thing. Maybe it's different, who knows. Screen clearing blast, then hit the enemies, and if all 4 characters join in, it's an ultimate extreme attack that generates major damage. That sounds kind of like what you could do in Ultimate Alliance 1. If I'm not mistaken, you could use your ultimate, like you could use whatever button you assigned it to, and if other people pressed it, or if the computer also had the same thing assigned, they would just use it automatically and it would like clear the screen. I could be wrong, but that sounds kind of similar to that. Heavies, mini bosses, and boss characters typically demonstrate an additional trait via a purple stagger gauge. Sustained attacks temporarily deplete this gauge and stun the enemy. So it seems like the bosses will have a bit of a gimmick where you have to or where they can like tank some hits and you have to get a certain little gauge down before you can fully attack them, or attack their health directly, I suppose. Infinity Trials appear as rifts during the first story playthrough and transport characters to new locations for tough challenges that give twists and variations on battles and offer rewards for completing and accomplishing particular objectives. So that sounds to me like, oh wait, this may include wave battles, countdown trials, ability trials, and more, and can be accessed from the main menu. That was definitely, I don't remember if it's in 2, but that was definitely in 1. I don't remember what it was called, but you could do it in Stark Tower, I think at the PC or something like that. It also kind of sounds similar to, going completely off track, Battle Gates in Kingdom Hearts 3, where you can just, it's like a side quest thing, optional side thing that you can do to level yourself up and just have like a bit of a challenging level if you want it. Friendly and mighty difficulties are available early on, and you get a new difficulty after you beat the game, and you can New Game Plus, I think that's what it's saying. So I think that this is saying, I'm not sure who Mark Sumerak is. That sounds really familiar. I'm not sure exactly who it is though. But apparently he is writing the game's story, and he's directly involved with Marvel and Marvel Comics, so that's cool. The story starts with the Guardians of the Galaxy fighting against the Black Order. Encountering Nebula, Ronan the Accuser, and the Black Order's Proxima Midnight. So they'll actually be fighting against more than just the Black Order itself. The Infinity Stones are gathered aboard on the ship, and ensuing battles scatter them across the universe. Obviously, we are getting, like it was mentioned, or like I had mentioned with the character roster, how it was very, very MCU focused. Seems like we'll be getting the Infinity Stones in this game as well, which is kind of obviously the promotional stuff, but regardless, that's interesting. And then right after that little intro section, it takes place on Earth during a raft prison break. Sounds to me like you may be playing with Iron Man or Spider-Man in that section. Someone that would be in that area, I think, in New York. And then there are other locations like New York Avengers Tower, X Mansion, and even more. To be seen when you play the game. Let's see. So it says Nintendo brought a Switch prototype to Marvel Games prior to the system's release, and that's when Marvel decided where to go with the Ultimate Alliance franchise. So like I was talking about earlier, Nintendo actually reached out to Marvel, showed them the Switch before it was officially released, and Marvel said, "Hey, this is neat, put our game on there." And they're like, "Give us that." Which is cool. Team Ninja's in charge of development, while Marvel Games provided writing talent and character selection. Both Marvel and Nintendo wanted to see the series return, with Nintendo ultimately jumping on as the publisher. Very happy that happened, as you can tell. And that is it for this article, at least. So that was a lot of stuff. I was going to just talk about the game and how excited I am for the game, but this video is already very long, so what I'm going to do here is talk about it very briefly. I'm excited for the game. As I've said before, Ultimate Alliance is a very, very important and fun game for me. Probably one of my most favorite games of all time. At least Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 is. So the series itself is just kind of in that same vein, very significant to me. So I will be looking out for this most definitely. And I probably won't have any of the equipment necessary to record or stream this game, but this game is coming out in July, if I'm not mistaken, July 19th. So hopefully around that time I'll have some better equipment and I'll be able to share the experience of Ultimate Alliance 3 with you guys. But yeah, I think that's it for this video. I did not expect it to be this long. Maybe I'll end up doing another video talking about my hopes and stuff like that for the game. Because I don't want this one to run too long. But let me know how you guys are feeling about Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. If any of the information that was stated in this little article from IGN, adapted from Game Informer's interview, if any of that information interested you as well, if you're also excited, what some of your hopes are for Ultimate Alliance 3, let me know how you're feeling about the game in the comments section below. But that's all I got for you. Alright? My name is JaangoPops. This has been an extremely long video about Ultimate Alliance 3 and the news that recently came out for it. I will be seeing you in the next video. Peace out.